Hello TJ students, this is Mr. Selway. As you may know, there is new forms of testing coming out this year, and so basically what I want to do during this advisory period is demonstrate bits and pieces of the new test just to help you guys get familiar with it. So I will be talking to myself, which is kind of weird, but it will be okay. Here we go. I'm going to take what's called a practice test. Okay, the website that I'm using is from Smarter Balance. This is the group that is putting our test together. All of this is open to the public. Basically, it's already signing me in. Most of you here at TJ will be doing this practice test with your teachers. So you will have an opportunity to do this as well. I'm going to act like I'm an 8th grader today. And I'm going to do the ELA grades 6 through 8 training test for today. And I'm not going to take the whole test. Advisory is short. I want to do just bits and pieces. Allow some of this to sink in, allow you to think about it, process it, and we'll go from there. I'm not going to change any of the information on this page. I'm just going to go as quick as I can here. This is my test. I'm going to start it. Do a quick sound check. I heard the noise. We're good. I'm not worried too much about these instructions, except I want to go over a few things with you. This is the page that will open up and how the screen will look when we start the test. This is a math example, but basically we have some example buttons here that you as students will be able to use as you take the test. Zoom in, zoom out. In math, there will be a calculator. You won't see this on the English versions. Pause test, back, next, end test. It's important to know with these back and next buttons, if you don't select answers to questions, it will not allow you to go to the next question. As I take the test, I'm going to demonstrate these 3 icons here. I'm going to use the tutorial button, I'm going to use the comment button, and I'm going to use the flag for review button. So you'll see how those work. Okay. I think it's best just to see it in action, so let me do that for you. Okay, question 1. Here's all my buttons I was just going over with you. The zoom in, zoom out, save, pause, back, next. I can't go back right now because this is the first question. There is nothing to go back to. Okay, and then these 3 icons here are going to help me, and I'll show you how to do that. But first, let me just act like I'm a student here, and I'm going to start taking the test. So I got to read it. A student is writing a report for English class about folk heroes. Oh wow, that's interesting. Why did that highlight there? Folk heroes. It did that automatically as I put my cursor over it. Oh, I clicked on it and it gives me a definition. Folk heroes are people who may or may not have existed, whom other people look up to and admire. Let's be real here. This definition might not help me. Okay, if I don't know what existed means, this definition doesn't tell me anything. But let's act like it does help me. Okay, basically what it's telling me are folk heroes are people in the past, heroic figures that some people admire or consider heroes. Let's continue. Okay, I know what folk heroes are now. I could click out of this and go back and continue. I want to point out something though, because it's a little annoying and frustrating, but you guys will have to deal with it. When I did that, notice where my page is. When I hit the X button, for some reason, it always goes back down to the bottom, so I have to scroll back up to the top. It's a little annoying, but it's okay. Read the draft of his introduction and conclusion and complete the task that follows. Okay, so far I know that I'm reading a student's paper for English class, and I'm just reading his introduction and conclusion. Those of you in your English classes should be aware that this introduction paragraph is basically the beginning of the paper, and the conclusion is going to be end. The conclusion is the end of the paper. So what this means is these paragraphs, as I read it, shouldn't make sense in correlating with each other. I have a beginning and an end, but no middle. So it may seem a little choppy to me, but that's okay. It's telling me all I have are the introduction and conclusion. So let's read it. You may never have heard of John Chapman, but you probably have heard of Johnny Appleseed. He was an American folk hero and pioneer. Oh, look at that. Another blue highlight. What's a pioneer? One of the first people to move to a new place to live there. Okay? So, new person, new area. That's a pioneer. Goes to the bottom again. How frustrating and annoying. That's okay. I just scroll back up to the top. Let me start again. You may never have heard of John Chapman, but you probably have heard of Johnny Appleseed. He was an American folk hero and pioneer who was born in Massachusetts in 1774. When he was 18 years old, he decided to help the pioneers who were moving west. He had a dream of growing apple trees and giving apple seeds to them. That way, they would never go hungry. Many people said that Johnny was a cheerful and generous man who loved the wilderness and was gentle with animals. What he is most known for today, though, is walking the countryside and planting apples. He did this for almost 50 years. To this day, many festivals are held every year to honor him. Next time you bite into a crispy, juicy apple, think Johnny Appleseed. Now, the student took these notes from credible sources. So the same student who wrote this report, these are the same student's notes. Okay, I'm good with that. You'll notice that I didn't review the highlights anymore because we already did that. I kind of showed you how to do that. So I have notes. Now, I need to look here. Here's my directions. Write 1 or 2 body paragraphs using appropriate details from the student's notes to explain the man behind the legend, without repeating the ideas presented in the first and last paragraphs. Okay, that's tricky. Here's my notes, and what it tells me here is I can't repeat anything from this area that was in the first and last paragraphs. What is that? Okay. Where do I want to start? I have notes. I have 2 paragraphs. What I want to do is start going through the notes and maybe even crossing things out that are on here so I know what I can use. Okay. But I'm still kind of confused on what's being asked of me. So remember I told you we have these tools here? Let me start with this one. I'm going to call it an information tool or an information button. When I click on this, what it's going to do is give me a little demonstration of how to answer this question. Let me show you. The demonstration is not going to include this exact question, more of a question that is similar, but how to answer it. Let's watch. The question type requires you to type your answer into a text box. To begin, read the question prompt or instructions on the screen. Okay, we did that. After you finish reading the question and any other information, think about your answer. You'll need to type your answer into the text box. Pretty clear? Makes sense. And it's giving you a demonstration of the typing here. Sometimes there will be information on the left of your screen and questions on the right. Be sure to read the information and all of the questions. You may need to scroll down to see all of the questions. Okay, You are ready to go back to the test. Notice this is an example of a multiple choice piece. So really, the information button does not give you exact details to the question you are working on. It just gives you examples of the same type of question. Now, what would really be nice is if I had a way to go through these paragraphs and kind of eliminate some of the things I see here so I know what to do. A notepad would do just that, wouldn't it? See, I want to look at this introductory paragraph and this concluding paragraph and see what I find here. Okay, and I know that I cannot use them. So I'm going to open up my notepad. I'm going to take some notes for myself. Look at this. I can move it even a little bit out of my way. So I'm just going to start with the first paragraph. Wow, that's kind of annoying. There we go. You may never have heard of John Chapman, but you probably have heard of Johnny Appleseed. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole thing again, but let me see some things here. Planted seeds along roadways, forests, and near rivers. That's not in here, so that's okay. Traveled from Massachusetts to Pennsylvania. Well, it does mention Massachusetts here, but it doesn't talk about traveling. It's kind of questionable to me, so I'm just going to go ahead and put number 2. I don't want to use, I may stay away from bullet 2. It's questionable. Spent 50 years walking the countryside. Okay, I don't see that here. Stayed ahead of settlers. I don't see that here. When he was 18 years old, he decided to help pioneers. Is there anything about him being 18 and helping pioneers? I don't see that. Okay, so far, really, the only thing that I'm worried about is bullet number 2. Let me see. Let me see the concluding paragraph. Many people said that Johnny was a cheerful and generous man. He did this for almost 50 years. 50 years. What bullet is that? That's bullet number 3. Okay. I'm going to type in number 3. I hope I could drag this down. It's not going to let me drag it down. That's great. I'm going to hit save and close because I lost my notes. So I'm going to hit save and close. And I'm going to open it again and look at that. Number 2 and number 3 are still there. Even though I couldn't see what I typed, I went ahead and typed it and it was still there. Okay, let me put this out of my way again. What he is most known for today, though, is walking the countryside. He spent 50 years doing that. Many festivals are held every year. Festivals. I don't see anything on festivals. I think I'm okay. Next time you bite into a crispy, juicy animal. Next time you bite into a crispy, juicy apple, thank Johnny Appleseed. Nickname, Appleseed Man and Johnny Appleseed. I don't want to use these two either. So that's bullet 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I don't want to use bullets number 8 or number 9. I'm going to hit save and close again. Should be able to open it. There's my bullets that I want to stay away from. I put down the ones that I want to stay away from. You don't have to do it that way. You could put down ones you want to use. However you want to do it. That's where you as the student need to make these choices, but you have to understand the question. Okay. What's this flag do? That's kind of quick. You know what it does? It puts a check mark here. What that means is if I didn't want to answer this question right now, I could check it and come back to it later. I'm going to go ahead and answer it. So now I know the bullets that I can't use. Write 1 or 2 body paragraphs using appropriate details from the student's notes without repeating the ideas. So I know which ones I can't use. I know which ones I can use. So now I can begin typing my body paragraphs. And all I do is click in the box with my cursor. and I begin. How do I want to begin? Well, indent 5 and just start going. One thing you may have not known is that, and I'm just going to put a dot, dot, dot here in ellipses because I'm not going to do the whole thing for you. You guys are going to have practice. My main point is to just show you how to navigate, how to read the questions, and then how to begin. The rest of the work, actually constructing the paragraphs, those are things you learned in your English classes, maybe even some of your other core classes like history, science, or math, where you guys are doing some more writing. Okay, that part I cannot instruct you on in a 20-minute lesson. That concludes day 1 of the ELA practice test.